Hi, good morning. Happy Monday, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, and I'm really excited to be here today. It is kind of a gloomy day where I am. I hope that it is not as gloomy where you are. Try not to cut off my own head. Here we go. It's Monday. It's also kind of a catch up day for me because I was traveling a little bit, just like kind of, some car trips this weekend, and just feel like today is like sort of the day to catch up on things. But I'm really excited to talk about this topic today. And I think actually, if you ever do feel like in your coaching business that you are constantly catching up, and you are constantly maybe just creating content a lot, or maybe having a good idea but then being stumped and not knowing, like, well, where do I share this, what do I say, what do I do. This training will really help you, because today we're talking about building onto one platform in particular, that is going to serve you as a place for your clients to come in and for you to be able to nurture them and convert them into clients, into paying clients. So today we're talking about which platform works best for you. I'm going to talk as though, just as a disclaimer, I'm going to talk as though we're picking one platform, mostly because just easier to talk that way. But also, I really do truly believe that, especially when you're beginning your business, you don't need to be on all the platforms. It's really not worth it. Repurposing is a beautiful thing, and you are certainly, like, I'm giving you permission to do that. But that really truly works best when you have this one sort of, like, I want to call it an anchor, like an anchor place, for you to provide that content, and then the bits and pieces can kind of be repurposed. So that's just my first disclaimer here, before we really get into everything. And then my second one is, if you are watching live, say hi. Let me know you're here. Ask any questions that you want or that you have around this topic, because if I can help you live, I think that I can help better when I'm speaking. But of course, if you are watching the replay, just hashtag replay. Let me know you were here. I want to come back and say thank you for spending your time watching this video. And I want to also make sure that you're getting out of it what you need, and what you want. So if you have any questions while you're watching this replay, then let me know, and I will come back and we will chat back and forth about it. Okay, but I don't know unless you tell me. So I'm going to be watching the comment box while I am doing this video, doing this training. But yeah, just make sure that you are doing that for me, please, so that I can help you the best way I can, especially around this topic. So let's get into it. So before I kind of talk about, I have a 3-step process that I walk my clients through every time they are either considering pivoting their platform that they're working off of, or maybe they have a new offer and they want to try something different, or they're brand new and they just really don't know where to go. I think a lot of times we have such a hard time because there's so much information out there about how to grow a business, how to grow an online business. And obviously everybody who loves a particular platform is going to say their platform's best, right? Like, if you go to an Instagram specialist, they're going to say Instagram's amazing. If you go to someone who loves Facebook groups and has grown their own business through groups and teaches people about groups, obviously they're going to say groups are the best. And so this 3-step process is really here for you to be able to decide, okay, this is what's best for me. And I think that's a mindset shift in itself, right? Is to be able to say, okay, like, I see everyone else in this online coaching world kind of doing this or doing that, or they're jumping on this new trend or here. And like, really that knowing of, inside of like what's going to work best for you. So hard to do. So hard to do because there's so much noise out there. And when we listen to the noise, we can't hear our own thoughts. It's like being at a really loud concert. And let's say you're standing next to the speaker too, and you're like, I can't even hear myself think. Like, that's really what this is all about, right? That's really what why I want to teach you this 3-step process, because I want you to be able to say, okay, like, check in with yourself, but make it simple, right? Not make it this whole long, like, existential crisis that you're having about where you want to market your coaching business. That's not necessary, right? That's not necessary. So 3-step process. Before I sort of get into, I'm going to want to break down the word platform for you, before we kind of get into the 3-step process. And the reason I want to break that down is because I think a lot of times when I say platform, you might think I mean social media. And I do, but I also mean non-social media. So let's just break down what the two, the two different things. So social media platforms are where you're watching me right now: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. These are social media platforms. There are other platforms that are online platforms that are not actually social media. Email marketing is one of them. Podcasting is another one. Pinterest is another one. Actually, Pinterest is not a social media platform. It is a search engine. It is just like Google, but prettier. And we tend to kind of rope it in with social media. It's actually not. It's actually a non-social media platform, but it's still an online platform. And blogging is another example of a not social media online platform that you can still use. I think a lot of people think like, oh, well, if I'm not using social media, how's anybody going to know? There's a bunch of other ways to grow your business if you don't want to rely so much on social media, but I'm not the social media expert here. So I want to make sure that you just understand that you have options, right? Okay, so the 3-step process. The first one is to know them, meaning your ideal clients. And the second step is know you, meaning you as the coach, and just as a human being, and all the things that you're doing this business for. And the third one is cost, to assess the cost. Okay, so let's break down the first one, which is knowing them. Okay, so knowing your ideal client, super, super valuable when it comes to which platform to kind of settle on. And the reason is because, the thing is, like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, if you're working with younger people, you should go to Instagram. If you're working with older people, you should go to Facebook. It's not that that's not true, but what is true is that everyone's everywhere. Like, we are living in a time where everyone has a Facebook profile. We are living in a time where pretty much everyone has an Instagram profile, right? Like, so what I would rather you do is dig a little bit deeper. Don't just hit demographics, right? Don't just be like, well, they're 35 to 50, so I should probably go on Facebook, right? Like, go a little bit deeper than that, okay? Because you're right, they probably are on Facebook. But the next level is, well, where are they going to solve their problems, right? Like, if you are providing a solution to a problem that your ideal client has and can't solve for themselves, or is having a really hard time solving it for themselves, or maybe doesn't quite even know all of the things that they have to go through in order to solve it for themselves, where are they looking for that? Right? Like, are they in Facebook groups, support groups looking for support? Are they searching hashtags on Instagram? Are they trying to Google some blogs about it? Where are they going? Like, really put yourself in their shoes. Are they watching YouTube videos to kind of gain knowledge and try to figure out, like, are they listening to podcasts, right? Like, where are your people? And you might have to do a little market research on where they are specifically and where they find information and where they get just like a little bit of tips to move them through, to move them forward without having to actually commit to something. But it really, really valuable to know not just where they are, because everyone's everywhere, right? I listen to podcasts. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, but I'm not always looking to solve a certain problem on all of those platforms, right? I'll give you guys an example. I drove my daughter to school one day. She's young. She was in kindergarten at the time. And something happened in the car. I think we were talking about something, and I just was feeling like, wow, I'm really not equipped to have this conversation. Like, I'm really struggling with like making sure that I'm not doing something I shouldn't, or saying something I shouldn't be saying, or messing with her somehow. Like, if you're a mom or a parent, you get it, right? Like, what I'm trying to say. So I was driving, and I think I had like a longer drive to my next errand or appointment or something. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to see if I have a couple of parenting podcasts that I follow. I'm in the car anyway. Let's just see if I can search and see, like, if I can figure out if there's like a podcast host talking about this topic. And that's what I did. I searched and I tried to find, like, I think I might have found a couple. I think I might have thought about it a little bit on my own. But like, I'm the ideal client for you if you're a parenting coach. I'm the one that's going to be looking for a podcast, right? I'm the one that's going to be looking to read a book, because that's just who I am. So knowing who your people are and where they're looking for problems to be solved is going to be so, so helpful. Okay, so that's number one. And I suggest like an action step for you, just make a huge list, just like really bullet it out. If you were ever your ideal client, I know a lot of times that is the case, right? You've made the transformation. You now want to help people who are at point A where you were, to move to point B. So where were you? What were you looking at? What do you wish you looked at? Like, what do you wish was wherever you were going, so that you can get to that next step of creating the content that you wish was there, right? So look at that too, and really just kind of like deep dive, maybe go into a few places and ask some questions, right? Some market research questions. Where do you go for your information? Something like that. Okay. So that's your action step for step number 1. And you might already know, and that's great, because now we can move to step number 2, which is knowing you. So we do our business for our ideal clients. Absolutely. We want to meet them where they are, right? But at the end of the day, if you can't meet them where they are in a consistent manner, then it's not going to matter that they're on Instagram and you hate reels, right? That's not going to matter, right? So we have to balance step 1, knowing your ideal client, with step 2, knowing you and knowing what kind of content you like to put out there. And this may be some trial and error. I sort of fell into Facebook Lives because I had a Facebook group that someone, in a Pinterest article, quite frankly, like a blog that I found on Pinterest, told me I needed to do, because I started a product-based business. And so I just started going live because that was the best thing to do on Facebook, still kind of one of the best things to do on Facebook at the time to get more reach. And so I fell into it and I loved it, right? But I think that a lot of people don't necessarily know what they like. You got to try it all, right? If you haven't tried writing a blog, try it. See if you like it. If you haven't tried writing written posts, if you haven't tried viral posts, reels, if you're not totally sure, then try everything, right? And give yourself that permission and that opportunity to try things, have them suck probably a little bit, let's be real, and then, try it again until you kind of like have that knowing. And again, that listening of like shutting out the speaker, shutting out this concert of this rock concert of online coaching, and just listening to yourself and saying, I really love being on video, or I really don't love it. I don't love talking. I'd rather write. You can lean into, we're so lucky in this time that we can put content out all different ways. You can really lean into what you like to do and how you best can produce, because the consistency here is really important. So if you don't love live videos, but you have a Facebook group, you're probably not going to do lives very often. And lives are still one of the best ways to get the most reach on Facebook. So I'm not saying that you don't need to do, you have to do lives when you have a Facebook group. I'm not necessarily saying that, but like it is one of the best ways to use the platform. And that kind of leads me into my third point, which is assessing your cost. So every single platform has a cost, right? And you probably know this because you've probably said, well, yeah, Instagram, if you're on Instagram right now, they've been changing a lot, right? Over the summer, it seems like every summer they kind of change a lot. So their algorithm, it's so hard to get seen. The reach is awful. I hate it, right? So let me just, point something out here. These platforms are free to us. We don't have to pay. We can pay, right? We can do Facebook ads, Instagram ads, whatever. But we don't have to pay. And we are able to monetize these platforms, our particular profiles on these platforms. We're able to monetize them. That doesn't come without a cost. Okay. This is not 100% profit. And that's just like any other business. We have to realize that, right? So like when Instagram changes the algorithm and you all of a sudden aren't getting the reach on your carousel posts when you used to, and now you're going to have to lean on reels a little more. Well, that's a cost, right? That's a cost of being on Instagram. That's a cost of using that platform for monetization. So I think, and you can say that for any platform, right? With blogs, there's an SEO component, right? That can be, it's very complicated for me at least, which is wonderful. That's why we have an SEO expert in here. And that's why Ucoachia is incredible, right? Because like you never are lost with like, oh, what am I going to do? So when any platform sort of changes what they're doing or has a particular way of like, it's only going to really work if this, right? All of these platforms for the most part are free. So that's our cost, right? Our cost is their changes, our cost is their algorithm, our cost is their, what they request, what they require. Right now on Instagram, for example, reels are pretty much required. You're really not going to get a lot of reach without them. So I understand you don't want to do them, you don't want to use trending sound, totally fine, right? Use whatever sound you want, but understand that doing business on Instagram, it comes at the cost of doing reels, basically. And having a Facebook group on Facebook comes at the cost of, making sure there's content in there, making sure that you are nurturing your people all the time. So I think like determining what platform, really narrowing it down using steps 1 and 2, determining the platform, and then understanding, okay, what's the cost here, and assessing and saying, is that okay? Right? Is that okay with me? So for blogs, or maybe even for YouTube, like how many videos do you have to put up a week or a day? Do you know what that cost is, and are you okay paying it? Right? Because sometimes we look at cost as some kind of investment, financial investment. Sometimes it's time investment. Sometimes it's just sweat equity. Sometimes it's just your blood, sweat, and tears as an investment, right? So really understanding that third leg, I find a lot of people are like, well, my people are on Instagram. Great. It's no problem. And then they realize, oh, wait a second, like I have to churn out this many reels, or like I have to do this, or I have to do that. And it's like, we can complain about it all we want, but again, the cost of doing business right now is free for you. In a lot of ways, of course, like we can pay for things, and there's that aspect of it too. But in a lot of ways, we have to understand the cost, right? And that's being a business owner. That's just being a good business owner. So I suggest, as my action step for you, really sit down in a quiet place, no speakers, put the phone away. Don't have that kind of ringing in your ear right now. Don't be scrolling while you're doing this. Don't be even like sitting in front of a computer. This might be best if you're just pen to paper, right? The way God intended it. And just think about these things. Think about your ideal client. Think about you, and think about when you're kind of leaning into a platform, what's the cost? Am I okay with that cost, right? And how can I build it into my business to assess it every 30 to 60 days, just like we would assess our expenses, because it is an expense. It is our time, it is our effort, it is maybe it's time we're paying someone else to help us with, right? There is an investment. You do need to assess that cost. So that is my 3-step process for figuring out what platform is going to bring you the most clients the most consistently. And I can tell you that when you look at this and when you really understand it, and when you're honest about it, it really is so helpful and so amazing what can actually happen, because that energy is there, and the people are coming, right? We talk about this attraction, and it is a thing, but I think it has to start with sort of our energy level, and just our being boss about it, right? Just being on top of it. So really happy to share this with you today. Please let me know if you have any questions, and I can't wait to see you guys next month. Bye.